His chair.
I'm semi-hosting tonight. So.
Or is that what it is?
I'm semi-hosting. Steve's hosting from the producer's booth, and I'm hosting from the chair over here.
Is that because we have somebody here with us?
We do. We have a special guest tonight. We have Miss Diana Starr.
Do tell.
And she is with the Republican Women's Federal Forum. Sorry, I knew I was gonna stumble over that. RWFF for short. And we just want to welcome Diana to the
show.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm honored that you called me and that I'm here. I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad you're putting this exciting event together.
Well,
Are you nervous?
No.
No.
But it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, guys.
Well, we're here to help.
I'm glad.
Well, what is this event that we're talking about so quickly in this show?
Yeah, we started that early, didn't we?
I'm sitting far away.
Did. I mean, Steve's over there in his own world.
Lake.
You and I, Mr. Lake's over in his own world. Last week we had two Steves on, so we had Steve Lake and we had Steve Meredith.
You don't want to know what the show used to be called when we had Joe and
yeah.
It's all good.
I'll tell her later, I guess. But it's
tell her later, not on the show.
Yeah, it's so anyway, there's a big event coming up over in Shepherdsville, I believe.
That's correct.
On Monday. What time is that getting kicked off?
Well, it depends on what ticket you've bought. If you want the meet and greet, that is to meet with General Michael Flynn, the General Michael Flynn.
That's awesome.
And other entertainers that are coming with him that are significant and kind of in his entourage. They all kind of hang out together. Mm-hmm. Michael Flynn has actually done videos with some of these rappers and Freedom Videos. And he is coming to Shepherdsville. If you meet and greet, it's there from 5 to 6. And if you're coming for general admission, then it starts at 6 o'clock to 9:30.
Gotcha. And so the name of the event is the American Revival Project. It's going to be at the Paraquet. Is that how you say that?
Paraquet Springs.
Road or something
I like
that.
the Paraquet. I think you got that right.
I think
there.
it's right. It's what sounds right, but I'm not sure.
It is on Paraquet Springs Drive.
Yes.
That's the correct thing, and there will be a marquee out in front, so you'll know.
Oh,
yeah,
a marquee.
Yeah, and so
fancy.
So that's going to start. So if you get over there at 6 o'clock for the regular show, and one more time, what time was the meet and greet? If you wanted to buy the tickets for the meet and greet,
At 5.
At 5.
Begins at 5.
Now, can you still buy tickets for the meet and greet?
Absolutely, even at the door.
What does that cost somebody?
That's $250 for the meet and greet. That includes hors d'oeuvres, your hour, mingle with him in the VIP room. You get to also see Forgiato Blow. Absolutely.
Or more.
Absolutely. And so you're thinking Michael Flynn, he jumps off. You're doing the lineage. And you're thinking, where are the tickets? Well, then you find out you kind of been little shadow bands. You've been this, whatever the little shenanigans are going on. They're always going on. You know that. And the word was not there. It wasn't getting out. But Flynn's office, I said, hey, guys, maybe I should pull this, which was disconcerting to me because mine's a small women's group that are like, I've got women that work like I've got 10,000.
Well, tell us. I mean, let's get back to. We'll get back to the event, but Tell us about the women's group. What is the Republican Women's Federal Forum? What is it about? Who are you the
I'm the
founder
chair.
or the
No,
chair?
I'm the chair.
Okay.
It's a Kentucky chapter. It was based in D.C. About 50-something years ago. And I went there, and I was at that point, as a lot of senators' wives, congressmen's wives, etc. And I heard some speakers, and I said, why aren't you having chapters? I was confused about that. I'm like, just
It makes it difficult for people in Kentucky to drive to DC for just for an event or a meeting, right? So
right. And the cost of the flight to stay in D.C.,
it's no
go to
joke.
the luncheon. It's no joke. And it's not for the weak of heart, and it's not continuum. It's not a continuum that you could continue with.
Yeah.
So I went there. I liked it. I was impressed. And I asked them that question, and it was kind of like, "Eh." And I'm like, okay, well, we're not senators' wives. We're just everyday people. And I'm actually the daughter of a preacher, raised in Indiana, just a simple person. And I went back again.
But you live in Kentucky now?
I do. I was
Okay.
born in Louisville.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Raised up in Indiana somewhere, southern
raised
Indiana, I suppose.
both of them, yes, Kentucky and Indiana. And then I went back again, and then I went again and asked them about 3 or 4 times, and they say, okay, well, we're going to bring it before the board, and we're going to find out if you can have the chapter. So I got to speak at Capitol Hill a couple times at the Capitol Hill luncheon,
Mm-hmm.
which was a great honor at that time.
Yep.
And after I did that, they called me, and we didn't make anything official paper wise or anything like that. But they said, hey, yeah, go ahead and start a chapter, which we did. And then I started just saying to women, look, the problem is this: you're spread all over this state of Kentucky with no unification, and there's a price to pay for that, because I'm not going to have a group, to myself I said, I'm not going to have a group that says once a month, the grassroots group do this. And I'm not knocking the grassroots groups. There's conservative women. I'm not knocking that. I want those grassroots groups to come together. But I don't want a monthly luncheon,
Mm-hmm.
talk about the problems, have a speaker, go home, and that's it.
Right. You want to be able to
Activate.
activate and discuss, understand what's going on, and how what you just heard fits into Kentucky, into
I've learned.
yeah. I think the way I would put that is when you learn something, it's intelligence.
Yes.
When you understand it and can live it, it's wisdom,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that's the way I look at that.
Yeah,
So.
I've looked at it a couple ways, but
I think it's the same thing. I think you're just saying it a little bit differently.
Little bit
the way-
different.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
kind
the way
of
I took
different
it.
like that.
Well, we talked about coloring to our own coloring book, right? You said
Right.
that earlier, right?
Tell them what you said.
Let's see. What did I say? I said that whether you color inside the line, I color inside the lines, but I draw my own lines, is what I said.
Yes,
So
yes.
and what I mean by that is, I draw from my principles, my upbringing. I'm a unique being. I am God is my Father. He is my Creator. He's our Lord and Savior. He's our Lord, and Jesus is my Savior. And it's that I believe that, and that makes me part of who I am. I believe in my, or I have a strong foundation in my family, and I love my family and my, which those are the most important things to me. um, and almost everything we do is some way shaped around that. And I try to make sure that's part of who I am. But that's what I mean. I draw my own lines because I allow my principles to kind of like set my boundaries and my lines.
That's
that way.
right. That's right. And I had said to him, or you, I had said to you, is that I've often saying, well, you're different, or you don't do this, or you believe in that. You can't do that. Out. That's out of our reach. Well, what's out of our reach? And I said to you that I never color inside your coloring book, and I
Right.
never color with your colors, and I never color. Sometimes I like to scribble. So
Right, yeah. Yeah. You know, little.
so that scribbling has gotten me different places
That's right.
sometimes.
Little doodles outside the lines. All
That's
right.
exactly
That's
right. That's but always in the perimeters of God.
That's right.
Always
That's
in the
right.
perimeters
Amen.
of God. So
Amen.
I'd hear exactly what you said about your foundation and mine being with parents being ministers.
Well, I mean, I really like, just kind of pointing back to the event. I mean, I like that. I mean, I see your flyer in front of us. I don't know if we have that, Steve, if we have that
It's a
up there. So the on the cross, right?
yeah.
And
Yep.
the name of the event is the American Revival Project. And so I think it's good for us to have a combination or some sort of where our religious beliefs should affect our politics. They should be part of how we choose our leaders and things.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a saying that I've been saying now. And I mentioned you once before. I never knew who he was at all. I'd never heard that name, never heard Trumplantinos, and I'm a pretty active old lady. So you would have
You
thought
get around.
I get around.
Yeah.
So the cross thing was there was an idea that was birthed that said, hey, let's go reach the youth the way the youth see it. I could go all day long and say, Amazing Grace,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to touch the heart or soul or even the interest of the American youth. They've
Yeah.
got to have something to engage them, pull them in.
I mean, I think all of us enjoy an old hymn from
Yes,
time to time.
I love it, love it, love it.
But the contemporary Christian music is so much more, to me. It's so much more inviting now than the like I said, the hymns, right? And those are they both have their place in the church.
That's
Both have
right.
their place in
That's
our life.
right.
And I have a wide range of love for music. Um, um, One thing about me is I do like sound at church, and so I'm in the sound booth. And Steve actually plays guitar in the worship team band.
Mr.
And-
Lake's not fake.
No, not
No,
fake. I gotta. Hey,
he's the-
listen, I'm
he's
not
the
faking
real deal.
anything, and I'm not lacking anything. So don't ever misspell it, or missay it.
So, but anyway, but that's and that's just the way we kind of give back, and we want to make sure that we're part of that, right?
Right.
If you ask me to play an instrument, my instrument is a soundboard, right? That's what my instrument is.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Um,
I need it.
Yeah, so it's like it's a that's my wife plays drums, and
Wow.
she was a drummer on the band for quite a while. She's kind of stepped away because her business has been doing so well, and she's been very, very busy. And then my son Matthew played guitar and sang, and he's now in the Navy over in Virginia. And then our oldest son plays drums, but he's never played at church or anything like that. But our youngest son just played football, so that's his thing. So he was more into sports and stuff, and working. So that's kind of what my boys.
Well, let me ask you a question. Who do you think sings, plays the piano, claps, takes up the offering. If no one's there but the children, the preacher's kids, everyone,
Yeah.
the preacher's kids do it.
They do
They
everything.
do it also.
That's
We
right.
all learned, all 7 children sing to different degrees.
Yeah.
And one of the people on the flyer is my brother, that's as an evangelist, and he's going to come and provide some Christian music and his own songs that
Nice.
he's written. I sing to a degree, nothing like him, but he plays every instrument that is. My mother wrote songs, wrote plays, and so I understand what you're saying. It's kind of like you learn when you have to learn, and so when we went with this group here, they do hip hop and rap, and they're very MAGA. They're so MAGA. They are called the MAGA leaders. The mayor of MAGA,
Gotcha.
Bill,
Yeah.
and Donald's nephew. So they're often at Mar-a-Lago performing. They're based in Florida, where General Flynn is, and like I said, they've did several videos, and he's jumped. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Such a cool guy.
I've heard that before. I've heard that he's very down to earth and doesn't mind us talking. Talking to just about anybody that'll listen or have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
It would be cool if we could ever have him on this show, I guess, but it's not something we've actually reached out to try to do or anything. Just a little old Brandenburg over here, so we're
Well,
trying to,
you know, it didn't matter about where you're at. I actually got an interview for one place, and I was looking at places to. He said, "I'll give you one interview," and so he did. And
That's nice.
I looked at 3 or 4 of them, and I'll send you the interview later. It was great, and I wish I'd had more small people. But the thing is, you can stream there. This isn't the first. And, I mean, this is the first, but this isn't the last.
Yeah.
I have plans. I have great
Well,
plans
So
for the future.
I'm glad you said that because this is I think this is the first event I've seen. So this is the very first one that you've put on for through the RWFF or here
That's
in
correct.
Kentucky. That is.
That's correct. That's correct. And like I said, everybody thought that was a little high. I was going for the bar, but I don't think we should. And with God, all things are possible.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is the thing, the little glitch. We're a small group, and it does cost. So when you go out for donors, and if I'm permissible to say that, we
Yeah,
ask for all
that's fine.
sponsors and donors, and because we opened the general admission up free, and we
I mean,
did.
do you have a website or anything
We
for
do.
donations to your group?
We do have a website, and they can donate there. They can send it in the mail. It's
What's the website?
the RWF Forum KY .org.
Gotcha. So it's RFW. I'm sorry, RWF Forum.
KY.
FORUMKY .org. Very good.
.org. So, but when I was concerned, going back to the prior topic, we got kind of deviated a little bit. When I called his office and said, "Hey, I'm concerned. I just think this guy needs a big audience. I think that he's one of the great American heroes. What
Mhm.
he's did, what he put himself out there, and still puts himself out there." And his office from him his reply was, "I would rather talk to like 28 people and get the truth across than to have a crowd of 500."
Hmm.
They did not wish to cancel.
Well, so I mean that's awesome because it takes pressure off of you, even though you're probably putting a lot of pressure on yourself to
Yep,
get it
yep.
done. So I mean, and I know I heard I got a text last month from Bobby Coleman over in Hardin County. I don't know if Bobby's listening tonight, but shout out to her if she is.
Hey, Bobby.
And so she sent me a text and, "Hey, can you put this out?" And I wasn't really familiar with the RWFF, and I had to do a little research and such. And it's like, I was like, "Oh well, So we put it out on our text to our group and such, so see if there's anybody that's interested in going. And so I've heard a few that are interested in going. I think Steve's going to try to make it over there on Monday.
Steve
I will-
Lake.
Steve Lake.
I will be there.
And I was going to ask, I said, are you allowing people to stream or record or anything? Or
We are.
are
We
you?
are.
So,
We are.
maybe a thought there, Steve.
Opportunities. Actually, opportunities for Giotto and the Latinos have become great friends of mine, and they're flying in on Sunday morning to kind of hang out with me and
Very
kind of
good.
do what's going. So you never know what a FaceTime call or thing can be arranged. He's very eager always to do things with me.
Nice.
And just a great, just all American.
Yeah, I'm on the page. It's super simple, folks. If you're watching this or you see it or you play it back later, all you need to do is just pull this up from their website, RWFF, for KY. .org, and it's got the buy tickets now, and I believe general admission is free, but if you want to shake hands with the man, you've got a VIP area for you, or if you come as a couple, you even did a discount for them. So you could bring, for $400, you get a VIP encounter with Michael Flynn
As a couple, right?
yeah, as a couple, or you could pay $250 for an individual and then come and then get the VIP treatment.
I mean,
It's really just it helps pay for him to come.
exactly,
Correct.
And
exactly.
stuff. So
Where it's not like this is a big fundraiser for the group.
It
This
is
is about
not.
making sure that the group can put people in. It's affordable to put people in the seats that want to come. At the same time, make sure Mr. Flynn and the others have their transportation, their accommodations, because it takes money to bring people in, and
Thank
Yeah.
you.
and it takes
does.
it does. I mean, we just if you just think about like our Lincoln Day dinners and
oh yeah,
things that
Oh
we do,
wow, yeah.
those are it's the same thing. I mean, a lot of people think, well, look at all the money you're making off of a Lincoln Day, but in reality, we don't even make 50% really on that. It's really more about having an event to make sure that we're getting people excited about what's coming up and things like that.
absolutely.
But so I from a smaller scale, I understand where you're coming from, because
Absolutely.
and then you're always looking. I was like, oh, am I going to have 50 people there? Am I going to have 200 people there?
Right.
And it's always that nervousness right before it happens, because if you don't get those pre-sales, you're like, all right, I'm going to the cater now in faith that we're going to have that 150 people or 200 people, and sometimes it doesn't. They don't always show up, and we've been pretty blessed the last few years that the numbers we feel like we're going to get are pretty much there. In the worst case scenarios, we end up with a lot of extra food, and we either let people take that home or take it to. Many times we take it over to the jail and feed the prisoners and stuff at jail with it. So we have a few people that do like jail ministry and stuff over there. So they go and they take the food over there and say, hey, it doesn't. I don't want the food to go to waste. So, and if we know of families, sometimes we know families in the area that are struggling, and we'll pack them up some food, take it home, let them have a nice dinner.
Well, that was our it was our final thing, was opening up for general, because there's a lot of youth and regular people that are struggling this day that can't afford to hear something like what Michael Flynn has to say. And I tell you now, I know I keep saying it, I have to reiterate it, but if you're watching, and I watched a couple of his videos and about the border, if we may go into politics a little
Absolutely.
bit.
I mean, this is a political show, so.
And on the climate that our country is decaying, and this is such a pivotal year. So can you imagine what was the ratio you would think, Mr. Lake, that we reached out to General Flynn. General Flynn came back with one date,
Yeah.
President's Day. And then right after that, then Trump wins this and Trump wins that. And if you're listening and you're not a Trumper, that's all right with me.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is this: we can't have Biden any longer. We have nothing.
No.
We have nothing. If we don't change what's going on in the United States today, and we don't get those people that, and as you see the Revival Project, if we don't revive you to care about your what's going on around you,
Sure.
your country, your state, if we can't revive you, because it's a spiritual warfare as well.
Yeah.
We all know that. If we can't revive you to fight for your country, then I don't know where we're going to end up, because we know they're going to fight. They already are fighting, and they're continue to try to take down not only Trump, but Michael Flynn. He's still paying for his bills, and this
Yeah, the lawsuits.
the
Mhm.
Yep.
lawsuits.
Mhm.
So this is something I tell them all the time. The number. Guess what? Just think what the number one thing that people tell me when I ask them why are they not doing. I mean, what are they doing?
What's that?
They say we don't know what to do. I'm like, what don't you know what to do? You know what to do. Just go out and find out about the bills. Find out where you can integrate yourself. Um, just find out all those things because this is my key phrase, and to my women, patriotism is never convenient. It will never be convenient. You might as well forget it. And I didn't think the three percenters for the Revolutionary War thought it was convenient. Paul Revere's wife told him to stay home because it was
Yeah.
raining. Your horse is tired. You cannot. I'm 72 years old. 72. I got off my couch 3 years ago. I said, I got to do something.
Mm.
And I believe it was God's leading because now God has
Sure.
opened doors for me that I never would have imagined that they came. So this show
Mhm.
in its format, amazing, amazing. I'm so happy.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. We're
Yeah,
just trying. This is our way of trying.
Yeah. So,
Right.
educate and promote, right? And everybody's looking at my background now because it's like so messy on the behind the side of the camera versus the front side. But when moving forward with this whole thing, this studio's obviously the Messenger Studios, and the GOP is utilizing the space for to broadcast the show, and I'm pleased to do that. It's not an in-kind donation to them; they've actually paid for their time in the studio, and it's great to have a platform. And it's not just for them; it's for anybody that wants to have a message delivered, as long as it's educational. You know what I mean? And I know for the last 2 years, Mark and I have spent our time, devotion,
Yeah, I mean,
and everything else just to make sure that our local community is educated, and not only in our faith, but also on the bills. And just like you said, get off the couch.
Yeah.
That our youth right now today would rather vote for somebody because they have a cool TikTok,
That's right.
and yet they're going to the grocery store, they're going to the pumps, and they're wondering why is this so expensive. And all they're concerned about is a cool TikTok
Cool
page.
TikTok. Yep.
And yet we have a national problem right now. We as a country have a national problem. I'm sure Flynn would love to talk about this all day long, and I look forward to getting to meet him on Monday. But the idea that we can't raise a force and recruit an army today, right? Or a Navy or an Air Force.
So you're actually talking about the armed forces.
Yeah,
at this
armed
point, right?
forces right now. And you have Sleepy Joe at the wheel. And the fact that the entire party, the Democratic Party, is on toe to allow it to continue to happen. I'm thankful for a disruptive Republican Party who
Amen.
wants to
Amen.
challenge one another and their principles and have debate over a bill and challenge each other internally as productive, not as destructive.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Democratic Party won't implode on itself to say this is wrong, humanly, this is wrong to watch Sleepy Joe on a global stage represent every citizen, the leader of the free world, and we are just embarrassed on stage. You know what I mean? So to me, it's frustrating.
The Democratic Party, the problem there is that they've built themselves on coalitions of individuals. It's if you go back, remember I did a show a while back about what is fascism, right? Because that word gets thrown around there quite a bit. And if you go back and watch, if you guys out there go out and back and watch that a little bit and talk about that, it's I forget the guy's name. I'll you what it is, and in that episode we talked about that Hitler and fascism is not a line on the right wing.
That's right.
Fascism is actually a line off of Marxism.
That's right.
And so when you call right wing conservative people fascist, you don't understand you don't even know
Right.
what the word means.
That's right.
So, and what fascism is the difference between socialism and fascism is socialism is trying to put forth Marxist ideas based on, it's about how do you start the revolution on their side. They say socialism is about pitting the social classes against each other, the high and the low. Fascism is about finding coalitions of people to pit against one another. So if you are homosexual, then the other side is homophobes. If you are
If you're white, you're a racist.
If you're white,
white
you're
male,
a
you're
racist.
automatically a racist.
Right.
Oh, don't the white male.
Oh, I'm doomed. I mean, I'm doomed. I thought I was good to go, but now I'm doomed. It doesn't matter just because of my sex. But
That's
wait a
right,
minute.
that's right, that's
As
right.
long as I tell everybody I'm not a male, I'm good.
Oh,
Now we've got a whole nother problem.
well, we have a whole nother.
Yeah,
The
but you
white
get it,
male.
right? I mean,
Yes, I
it's all
do.
confusing. Let's go with science and let's stick to the facts.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the other one. Transgender. If you're transgender,
Yeah.
then you're a bigot if you don't believe that there's more than two genders, right? And that's these coalitions building against. That's why the Democratic Party has pulled those coalitions together. And at the same time, people who are more sane have moved out of the Democratic Party, either moved to the Independent. Those who don't understand, they can't. So many people feel that the Republican Party doesn't want the people doesn't want a wide tent, and that's not true. The Republican Party is not going to. It's about our principles. We're not saying, oh, we don't want homosexuals in the Republican Party. There's lots of homosexuals in the Republican Party. The thing is that it's about what your principles as a person is allowing you. Now, are we going out and saying that we need to have these things in the schools? No, because our principles don't allow us to go into that to drive, because ultimately what you're doing is you're introducing children to pornography. And once you do that, the studies have always shown that once a child has seen pornography of any kind or heard it or just introduced to it, they never forget it, and it affects them and their development for the rest of their lives. Everything happens. That's why children that have been molested as a child.
That's correct.
It's the exact same type of thing.
Correct.
One is molestation and rape is on one extreme of that, but it starts over here. If you introduce a child to sexuality at a very early age, it affects them the rest of their life. It affects. We used to call it growing up too soon, right? But now children are affected in a way that it's. Anyway, I'm getting on a different.
Well,
totally different topic,
first of
but
all, I want to come in. We got
it's something that's near and dear to me because it's like that's.
No, I know. I want to chime in.
I'm tired of being called a bigot. I'm tired of being called a racist. I'm tired of being called.
Well, I want to chime in real fast because I want to say thanks for joining us in the chat, Representative Callaway. It's great to have you on the show as well.
Josh.
So thanks for jumping in the chat. And he chimed in. He said, "Great lady there, by the way." So Diana, he's reaching out. But he said, we have a republic if we want to keep it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And that republic was built on God. It was built on the Constitution.
Amen.
That's right.
And we just continue to let everybody want to twist it into their own thing. We're not even following the laws we have on the books, and we could go down so many roads with that. But if we just stick to the basics, which is what our forefathers meant for us to do, and like you said earlier, I think it was a great comment, Diane. But if we had faith in our politics, we would not be going down this road.
That's correct.
Oldest book been around. You can talk about it all day
right.
long,
That
and it's the
absolutely.
Bible. Everybody talks about
There's
that's
nothing new under the sun.
no.
Which is a biblical
All right.
passage, right?
Right.
So people have been people since the beginning of time. Since people have been on earth, they have been people. They have the same struggles. They have the same mentality. The only thing that's different is technology that's around us.
Well, you know what I was thinking when you were saying that about the scriptures. Have you heard that scripture, equity is fallen in the streets? Why we are now the abnormals. You understand that? We are no longer, Stephen, the normals. We have been categorized, and they're pushing that agenda extremely hard. Like we have I know personally a couple, like the vice chair of my women's group is Representative Candy Massaroni.
You're talking about Isaiah 59:14, King James Version. And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth
Yes.
afar off. For the truth is fallen in the street, and equity
Amen.
cannot enter.
That's right. And that's what we see. We have a president that they just said wasn't capable of being prosecuted because of his
He's not competent.
He's not competent.
In not so many terms. They said he's not competent to stand trial.
Anti-MAGA, even anti-MAGA media has commented in the last couple of weeks because. Just anti-MAGA media. That's any media that has anything against anybody that believes in our Constitution and the Trumpisms or whatever. But, we can argue about whether we like Trump or dislike Trump. But his policies had our country on the right path.
That's
right.
It had as far as not just the policies, but our standings in the globe as far as energy dependence. I get it. He's not always truthful in a certain setting, but as his business practices, he was a leader from the front, and he held his threats to solemn, meaning that if he said don't do that, he meant it. He was going to retaliate. He wasn't going to think about it.
Nope.
But
Nope.
And we don't want a hothead in the White House either, and he was never that. He never portrayed himself that as a commander in chief. But to the moralism of the office, it is embarrassing even for the media outlets across our country to watch him wither on stage, and why we're not even discussing the 27th Amendment.
I'm so glad that the proverbial nuclear button is not really a button on the desk, because I'd be afraid he'd fall asleep and fall on top of it.
We have all the antics of Stephen behind
I'm
us.
telling you.
Oh yeah, this is the normal thing for our show.
I am so embarrassed that the United States has no standing. We are ridiculed. We are no longer anything. Trump had strength, and like you said, he didn't give any.
He showed strength from the front.
From the front, and he was willing to back it up from where he should be. Michael Flynn did an interview. I got him an interview the other day. I told you with a local, with a Kentucky State podcaster. And you might watch it. It's really, really good. He was fired up. He was mad as could be against Mitch McConnell. He was mad. He said, "We cannot afford to go to war." He said, "We do not have the strength. We don't have the ammo. We don't have the fortitude. We have nothing. If we're to get involved in another war, like the warmongers are pushing for, and somebody accidentally pushes a button that sends a missile to wherever, and I know we've been sending some over there, but he has the insight on what it takes for a country." And I'm thinking, if you combine that, just think about this, Mark, for a minute. If you combine that with the theory, which I don't believe is conspiratorial, if you combine that with the theory of the immigration and the fact that I have friends in Arizona, so we've shifted our focus. Texas is locked down, right? The guy stood his ground. Texas is locked down, hopefully. So now it's projected that Arizona will have
Governor Abbott in Texas.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. I have a friend that just did the convoy thing. She promoted that, put that on. And she's coming to the event, by the way, Stephen. I'll introduce you. She's a wonderful woman. She said it's projected that over 1 million, she said, we are the place that's vulnerable. Over 1 million will come across our border just this summer.
So there was a sheriff from Ohio County that there's a post. I was going to talk about that a little bit tonight, but we're not going to have time. But he came back from the Sheriff's Association, right? Met with all these sheriffs from all across the United States, went to D.C., and they all met. It was their big banquet and gathering and conference, and the president didn't want to meet with them. The director of the FBI came and met with them, and the comparison and contrast between 9/11, and 9/11, when we had issues with concerns about terrorist threats and everything else, we had some alerts as to whether things that were going to happen with 9/11. Right now, there's so many alerts with what's happening. They don't have any tracking of anything, and the threat of people coming over with backpacks and all this other stuff, and you don't know what it is that's in it, and it's not all illegal aliens as far as Hispanics that you would think migrating from Honduras. There are so many from third world countries, China, Russia,
Yeah.
just underground stuff that would make your back crawl. I mean, we're talking some Red Dawn stuff, but it's not that it's a Red Dawn scenario.
They said there was over 23,000 Chinese nationals across the border,
which they could form. They could form an army internally to the United States to completely disrupt. But it's not that we should be worried about. It's that they came across with the components that could be pieced together with maybe that educated Chinese group that we probably educated on a visa at some point.
Exactly.
Well,
and now they're in here in the country and they're putting these parts together.
Well,
you could let your mind wander in any direction.
There was another story on I can't remember. I wish I could give you the.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what the source was but they did there was somebody did a story on that they had that there was there was a group of those Chinese nationals that were here that were actually located and they were found at a gun range all practicing
saw that
with AR
Right.
rifles with AR-15s.
Yep. Super easy.
Trying to because they got over you go get them and they were so what are they doing? What are they doing? I mean, are you here to work?
You have to wonder.
Are you here to work?
Yeah, and by the way, we've downsized our military force.
Yep.
You have to wonder, what are you doing, Democrats? Are you literally wanting our country to be given away? Were you promised something? This is like right out of the book of watching what was it? Transformers.
No.
Right.
300.
Yeah, 300 even.
Remember 300?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could get it.
Hollywood's been preparing us this whole time for this. It's not coming.
How many movies can we go back to?
I don't know.
Think about it. Terminator is just one of them about the AI. If you want to go in with that.
Yeah, sure.
Or Red
Matrix.
Dawn.
I know Red Dawn.
Totally Red Dawn.
I mean, we could go conspiracy theory all day long, but the fact that the threat exists is a fact.
Yes.
It's a fact.
It needs to be at least somebody needs to be running it down to make sure this is not what's happening.
But if you've watched
right now, it's conspiracy. It's all theory. It's not conspiracy theory, but it's theory because we don't have any proof of exactly why all these are coming.
Yeah, but if you want
to be
naive, if you want to be naive as an American citizen and assume that all of these millions of people are coming over here and they're good, amazing
and they
people,
just want to work,
and they just want to work,
the American dream.
You have to do not be fooled.
Even if it was just 25% of them weren't. Or even if it was just 10%.
First of all, hold on.
That's a battle battalion.
Hold on.
Right?
No, it's worse. Let me give you perspective. They said it's over 3 million plus that have come across the border. Let's just say 3 million. 2% of 3 million. What is that?
2% of 3 million is 60,000.
Okay. And how many did the military miss its mark by last year? Just Army, by the Army.
I don't know what it was.
I don't know what.
Well, they were supposed to recruit 80,000.
Huh?
And how many they hit?
They only hit about 54,000.
So they're off by.
And they briefed Congress. Did you know that it's just to maintain a volunteer force? That is part of the national security strategy. It's published every year. It's one of the top priorities, and they haven't done it. So if 2% of that population is large enough to fill an army, what do you think the other? I mean, just imagine if that went any higher.
I mean, let's go.
What's come across the border?
There are so many things that we can go down.
No. I got it. But I'm just saying, even if 2% of the 3.5 million who came across the border were bad actors, how do you keep up with that?
Mark, but I see what you're saying. I see where you're going about the rabbit holes, and we don't want to.
Well, no, I don't mind rabbit holes. I just want to make sure
perspective,
because I have about a half dozen things always running in my mind that I want to bring up, and because one thing I wanted to talk about this week that we're probably not going to get to is the fact that Hawaii the Hawaii Supreme Court has said that the Constitution they don't have to abide by the Constitution. Right? Did you all see that?
No.
Oh yeah, look that up.
Pulling it up.
Look that up because I was like, what?
That's the problem. We present we educate or present.
Explain
what's
it one more
going
time.
on.
It said the Hawaii Supreme Court has stated that they do not have to that the Constitution is outdated and no longer applies to them, to the state of Hawaii, to the U.S. Constitution.
Then what else do you lose if you don't obey the Constitution? Do you lose whatever? Are you?
I mean, at this
seceding?
point, that's a rebellious thought.
That's a coup.
That's a rebellious
Yeah,
thought. It's
yeah.
exactly the secession plan of
That's
South
right.
Carolina in 1861, 1862. When was it? 1862.
Oh, no, it's okay. So this one is the Hawaii Supreme Court handed down a unanimous opinion on Wednesday declaring that its state constitution grants individuals absolutely no right to keep and bear arms outside of the context of military service. Its decision rejected the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Second Amendment, refusing to interpolate a SCOTUS shoddy historical analysis to Hawaii law. So that's part of it, but I'll read more.
Now
You keep going.
you gotta go in deeper because in the full opinion, they basically have skirted that the amendments don't apply to Hawaii.
Right.
That Hawaii can make whatever rules and laws they want. They don't have to abide by the Constitution. It's essentially the nutshell that they put forward. And
Well,
so
and it says hold on, it says Mark Joseph Stern comments. He said it's an amazing case because the Hawaii Constitution has a provision that is the same as the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and it literally uses the exact same words as the Second Amendment. And Justice Edens said even though the provisions are the same, we will not interpret the same way.
yeah, so right there, the Supreme Court has in reality the Supreme Court has now said that they will not interpret the Constitution in the way that the Supreme Court is supposed to interpret the Constitution. So therefore, what that means is that the Supreme Court of Hawaii is nullified because they have escaped and overstepped their oath, because their oath is to abide and to uphold the Constitution, to interpret the Constitution. If they're not willing to do that, then that means that
That's
those
right,
people
that's
are
right.
nullified. And I don't know at what point that the United States might have to step in and say maybe the government of Hawaii is no longer
Part of the
a
state.
viable government, and that it needs to go back to a territorial status.
Well, and they're okay. And one point
would
of
be-
it goes back to the laws of the 18th century and something else put out by Pennsylvania. But basically, that they're saying that they were written. These laws, like the Second Amendment, were written by these misogynistic white men
Oh no!
and slave owners.
That's what they want
But-
to use. They
and-
want to use it. I mean, they truly want to. Hawaii wants all the protections that the United States gives, but they don't want to. They don't
wanna
really
abide
want to
by the laws.
participate. I mean, what does Hawaii provide us? A nice vacation home, a nice place to go
Not
visit
right
in the
now.
sun, right?
It does offer us strategic
does.
importance in the Pacific region against our enemies.
Yeah, but that means it's a military base. We just make the whole thing a military base.
No,
and
that's
send it back
even
to us.
more
Like it-
strategic than that. It's
Yes,
the
it is.
that's the hop, skip, and jump between all of the islands between Australia and Eurasia.
No. I'm saying
it's-
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying that does it need to be a state in order to have all that? No.
I can give you a little insight to
Go ahead.
a little bit of that. So on one of the islands on Hawaii,
I don't know.
No,
I don't know
no,
what's
I'm just
going on.
joking. My-
That's why you saw me texting a while ago. I thought it was something Steve was doing, but somebody's playing their music extremely loud. And
My-
it's probably one of the apartments in the building here somewhere.
My husband was in the service. He has a best friend of 50 years. The man just retired a year and a half ago. You know what he did for 50 something, 2070? He went flying back and forth to an Hawaiian island. His job, and he was the only man that could do it at the time till he got taught, because he started 50 years ago doing it.
Uh-huh.
He set up those anti-missile, our missiles that are anti-missiles. He
Yeah.
would run them over and over, over and over. That's what he did in the Hawaiian Islands. And he had to fly over there. He had to calibrate everything. They would shoot off a fake, and he would have to calibrate it, make sure it's shot down. And of course, we only got so many that can do so much at one time.
Right.
But he had as anti-missile missiles, and so Hawaii did have that hidden. I don't even know if it's hidden. It's not hidden knowledge, But that's what he did in Hawaii. So I ask you, there must be a base there. So what happened?
Oh, there's definitely bases in Hawaii. So.
Yeah, I mean, but like that particular one is
Oh, there are like radar sites and things like that all along the Hawaiian Islands. And
so what do
stuff,
we lose if they supersede, or I mean, not supersede, but
Oh no! If they seceded,
we just
we would.
pull
They
out?
would. It's illegal for them to secede after the Civil War. After the Civil War, basically the states had lost the right to secede. That's because that's really what the Civil War was actually
Was.
about. Was the fact that these states all seceded and they and while the nugget that was that kicked it off was the anti-slavery movement by the Republican Party under Abraham Lincoln, but that's why they seceded. But the fact that they seceded and then
What call?
attacked our military bases, specifically Fort Sumter in South Carolina, that's what kicked off the Civil War, because they wanted the munitions and stuff from the United States. Those were United States munitions. That was a United States military base. It was not a South Carolina military base. And they, as the Confederates, they attacked it, and that's really what kicked off the actual war. The fact that they seceded was because they didn't want to give up slavery, and they didn't want to give up their states' rights.
Right.
And as a Southerner, we all think about, hey, states' rights and things, but there is only so much so far you can go with states' rights before you have to say, hey, okay,
Yeah,
we all have come to a contract with each other as the 50 states of the United States. The problem is that the Democratic Party thinks that they should be able to dictate everything, and don't think that they didn't exist all the way back in the beginning, because there was actually argument about whether it was a federal government versus a republic government versus what have you. And that was just about how much the government would control the states from the United States government. So, all right.
I
Well,
wanted to ask you real
go
quick,
ahead.
Steve. Go back to the sheriff.
All right, go
'cause
ahead.
You didn't finish the sheriff.
So,
started at the sheriff, and I read
and
his-
this is where I want to tie it back into, and I'm glad you did that. Thank you. So the sheriff was talking about the security of
Right.
our nation.
Right.
He was very concerned. He was also very extremely frustrated because our president did not want to meet with him.
Right.
The vice president did not want to meet with him. None of the cabinet wanted to meet with him. They met with the leaders of the FBI, and they've communicated this threat is out there. Our sheriff's departments and our law enforcement are hanging by a thread because nobody wants to do that
No.
kind of work because of they get no respect. Now, in Meade County, we have a great sheriff. And they have a bunch of deputies that are here. I feel like we live in a bubble sometimes because we have it good. We do not have all the problems that other larger
Right.
cities and other things have.
counties, yeah.
It's great. That's why we planted a flag here. You know what I mean? But that problem is strategic, and it is not going to go away.
That's
and
right.
and I think it's great because Michael Flynn, and I want to bring this back to Michael Flynn. You've got this thing coming up, and because we're getting close to running out of time, I want to talk about his history as a military intelligence officer. I'm 32-year retired Army Sergeant Major.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I dedicated my whole life to service. My father did the same thing before me. I don't even know where my home is. When somebody asked me, where are you from? I said, I'm from Meade County. Were you born and raised here? No, I wasn't. Well, can you say you're from here? Because I've never been anywhere else. I've been everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I lived in a suitcase
Yes.
for my entire life until now. And the sad part is having that experience of
and
moving
we are
around.
happy you're here.
I know. Thank you, Mark.
I'm kind of happy.
Well,
Yeah.
the sad part is that after moving around after all those years and knowing what we have here in Kentucky as a Commonwealth,
Right.
the people, the livelihoods. The fact that we believe in the way we do, and I'd say that there's a lot of our my grandfather's Democrats here. These are the people that you could have a conversation
Right.
with and actually agree to
Yeah.
disagree or agree
I talk to them all the time.
all the time. And it's okay that you want to stay with the party, but the party is not it's not my grandfather's party.
Absolutely
and I'm
not.
very extremely frustrated with the Democratic Party because of that. And to say that you're a Democrat now, I don't diss you because you say you're a Democrat. But how can you follow?
I don't hate you.
No, I don't hate you either. I don't hate anybody. But how can you say that I'm a Democrat and then you sit there and support what's happening to your
That's correct.
party?
That's correct.
And so I don't want to get into all that, but the threat with the sheriff and then having somebody that's coming to our town that you put
Right.
together with this organization, I'm glad you're here to talk about it, but bringing in a powerhouse like Michael Flynn and then you have an opportunity, folks. Go to this event. It is Monday. You can buy tickets today. Buy them tonight. I put it up on the Facebook page. You can hit the link, and it takes you right to your website, Diana. And you can get that link. I'm posting up the flyer as we're talking. The audience is seeing the flyer. And, go. Even if you can't afford a ticket, then get the free admission
Right.
to listen to him talk. This man, obviously he's a retired 4-star general. He has a plethora of connections. I'm sure he's still in tune with all of the things that are going on
Yes,
in
he
our
is.
nation through all of his connections. Obviously, he's not privy to secret information and intelligence information, but he got a bad rap. They talk about it in the media. I'm thankful to Hannity and Fox and some other outlets that are news media because they have covered very well, after all of the congressional investigations into the
Yeah.
Russian conspiracy. And it's sad. It is sad that a 4-star retired general who gave his entire life to this country
Yes.
was dragged through the coals as a Russian spy, right? And
yeah.
they've
just ridiculous.
they've debuked everything, and here he is. So this is a tremendous opportunity.
His whole trouble was about the fact that he didn't fill out a paper, right?
I don't. Yeah, it doesn't
Something like that,
matter.
right?
Listen,
It's with a Russian.
if
it was,
if I had ever done 0.1% of whatever, even sent an email incorrectly, I'd be in jail.
You're right.
I'd be
Oh,
in
you
jail
would
for
be in
the rest
jail.
of my life. As a sergeant major, I'm an enlisted guy. I'd go first. You know what I mean? Somebody else would I'd be the fall guy, right? But I'm just saying, it's sad that we live in that. But the fact that you're bringing him here, and our community can hear from him and his voice, and it speaks to the work that the women are doing in the Republican Party, and I think it's fabulous. And I just want to give you
Hear, hear.
a last word on this and tell us what we need to know about it Monday, where you go to sign up again, and please, folks, if you want to get the one-on-one with Michael Flynn, please register for the $250 ticket or buy the $400 couples ticket or buy the I support this organization ticket and make a donation.
Absolutely. Stephen, thank you so much for saying that. They don't know that what people just aren't aware, I guess, but I hope that they're aware the magnitude of who it is and what he has to say. If you really want information, if you really want to be awake, if you really want to get involved and say, okay, what's the truth here? Because we all know how truth is just distorted here and there. But if you want those same, come and hear Michael Flynn, not just to mention the other guys that are just so politically involved and these, some of them are young men, but come, we brought it down to general information, general admission, free, so that those who could not afford could still hear the truth, so that Kentuckians can come and say, I want to be a part of something bigger that's going to save not just our Commonwealth, but be a part of something that's going to save perhaps our country. Stephen, say we can't even fix all the problems. We certainly can put up roadblocks.
Absolutely.
We can put up roadblocks.
That's right.
We can stop and stifle them. We can
Yeah.
make
Stop. Stop.
Quit
stop,
looking
stop,
at the pretty shiny stuff on
Thank
TikTok
you.
and
Stop-
start
stop
listening.
Yeah.
Stop agreeing just to get a bill passed. If it's not good for America, then don't. Then we should be able to step up and say don't pass it.
Mm-hmm.
It's angered me so much that I feel like we've given in. I really like Speaker Johnson now in his position in the House that's protecting us from that, because if it doesn't have what he feels, what the Republicans feel is the right way to go, especially when it's talking about the border, it's not going to go. It's not going to be brought up for a vote, and that's our right that's his right as the leader of the Republican Party,
That's
or the Republican majority. So
What's the website, Diana?
It's rwfforumky.org.
Mark, tell us about Monday.
Monday. Well, if you're not going to make it to the RWFF event in Shepherdsville, we are having our regular Republican Party meeting, and it is going to be at 7:00, and it will be at the train station. Now that 20, I think it's 27.
Where the dead bodies are.
And no, it's out there at Brandenburg Station, at the old train station master's house. We will have it from 7 to 9, 7 to whatever it needs. And then in March 16th will be our mass meeting to decide who our delegates from Meade County, the Republican Party in Meade County, will go to the district and state conventions to vote on the different bills and things, and to help choose planks of the platform, things like that. So we need, if you're interested in being part of that.
That's right. You're voting on the delegates. I can't be in two places at the same time. That's going to be tough.
Well,
I'll FaceTime.
We'll try to figure
I'll
out.
FaceTime you.
Well, I can't take your vote and FaceTime. I don't have a setup for that way. So.
I'll put a remote control hand to raise up.
I thank you guys. I just want to throw that in there.
Well, thank you for
It's
coming to
such an
visit.
honor.
Dana, we're so glad to have you out here.
I
It's
wanna
my
come
pleasure to
back.
meet you.
Yeah, it was
Glad to
aw-
make
it
the
was awesome.
connection.
I'll be back.
All right.
Yeah,
Gonna
awesome.
take it from here, guys. Listen, it's been a great show. Thanks for welcome to the new studio at the Messenger Studios. And as always, please be safe. Get out there. God bless and amen.
God bless. Have a good night,
bless
guys.
you.